Hello guys and welcome back. My name is Snowkyo. We're back today and we're going to play a little bit more of Amber and see what's really going on. Alright, back to where we left off. Waiting for her to remember. You can already tell it's about to get juicy. Dang. Thus began their strange routine. Tristan Malloy woke up early in the morning to go to work, but before leaving and rushing into the fog, he had to take a few minutes before facing the daily grind, a few brief minutes of the threshold to gaze at the sleeping Amber. It was getting weirder. Then he ran away through the streets covered by dead leaves, escaping far away towards the mountain and the paperwork, towards the baleful tower and furnished by vast offices where he slaves and chained to their computers toiled away from the lord of that place. That's such a weird wording. Maybe I can't read. Well, at least that was what the little girl thought his working day looked like. As for her, she woke up easily around 9 a.m. and her first reflex was to stretch and yawn in front of the cartoons with a bowl of cereal in hand. She followed her favorite heroine adventures. All of them were beautiful and courageous. All of them were friends for life. Princess were elegant superpowers covered with light effects and flower petals. Sounds like, Sailor Moon. Rich and beloved, they lived a perfect and enviable existence, especially the main character who owned a bedroom very similar to Amber. It was colorful and filled with cute accessories. How long is it taking to find her parents? However, this room was only part of a bigger palace furnished the same way. How'd I like to live in a castle as well? With cute animals as her friend, the heroine hunted the villains, fell into traps, and called for help of her charming prince, an ideal and fantasized man who served her hand and foot. Life seemed so easy, full of laughs and adventures. All that was needed was to send her back and bad woman to a hiding place in the darkness. After all, she was nasty because she invited the young dazzling girls, nasty because she was old and delusioned. Amber would have loved to have magical powers allowing her to make up cute outfits appear. Yep, Sailor Moon, I told you. Allowing her to have stable where unicorns sit. Allowing her to have a ballroom where she could organize an extravagant parties based on beautiful dresses and cupcakes. This girl has an imagination. It was always disappointing for her to see at the end of the episode, of course, that there were other programs, but the story's magical jewels was her favorite. Sonic? When the cartoon ended, she was filled with colored books in her room, daydreaming about being amongst those heroines. And then at midday, she heated up the leftovers, and Tristan had left and went back to watching TV. New programs awaited her. Again, she had a favorite. And with the little girl owned a puppy that was different from the others. It was a red puppy who could sneak around. It was so adorable, with its big eyes and comical expressions that made her melt. How'd I like to have a dog that cute? The meal passed quickly to the rhythm and the opening songs that she knew by heart. This was usually the time that Tristan chose to call and make sure that everything was okay. It's really going to tip about these TV shows. She never missed opportunity to tell him that the content of the episodes of the day, how the heroine had defeated the evil witch with her magical mirror, or how the little dog had helped her mistress at school. Music stuff. Relieved, he would start eating his whole sandwich without appetite, but satisfied by the little girl's words. Say to whatever. She hung up satisfied with the story and usually turned off the television after the last cartoon to rest on her big bed. Surrounded by her stuffed toys around this time, she usually read a fairy tale. She loved to tell herself the story of Cinderella again and again while sucking her teddy bear's ear. It was her sucking on a teddy bear's... teddy bear, what? People in life itself were nasty to Cinderella. She had to work hard, it was exhausting, she had to earn her meal, and nasty and ugly sisters believed themselves superior. Yeah, we all know the story. Fortunately, the prince recognized the heroine's natural talent. She was pretty, and she was just, yeah, we know what the story. He brought her to his castle, the golden existence where she wouldn't have to work her fingers to the bone, where money flowed freely, where Cinderella could have everything that she wanted, including all the things that shown accessories recent. Okay, so it's about wanting. Are you that materialistic? All she had to do was fill time, was to organize parties with her friends. The ugly sisters were not invited. They were too ugly, too rude, and did not want to deserve such paradise. Cinderella was happy. She knew love, true love, the only love. The love, gilding and glitter, from what more could she ask? Amber fell asleep happy, hoping to meet her charming prince one day, the one who would only have her eyes for her and would give her a Rome and the princesses I would admire so much had. Jesus, man, how long is this going on? It's kind of like, it's getting boring. It's hard to read. Not because it's actually hard to read, it's hard to read because it's boring. It was good at first, but now it's just it. When she opened her eyes, the little girl rushed again in the living room, watched a tape, a Disney movie, depending on her mood. She chose with animals with a couple who lived happily ever after. Often then, she watched Snow White and Little Mermaid. Amber fell in love with the idea of a glass coffin containing a body that would never grow old despite death, that would remain young and beautiful, lying in a wait to freed by her from her prison, for the magical kiss that would change the course of her story. The princess spirited away in the common hut of the Persian drawers, who were friendly but so uncouth. She also loved the idea of a beautiful and rebellious mermaid swimming through the oceans looking for treasure, but sacrificing her freedom for the man of her life, sacrificing the endless to squeeze into gilding gauge. That, yeah, we get it. We know what these stories are, man. Like, we know who. The beautiful and rebellious mermaid never listened to anyone else, which reminded her of her own condition. She was too sweet, capricious girl. She played these tapes on the loop all day until snack time came, but then, stuffed with images, she dug into sweets that Tristan brought for her: cupcakes, colorful macaroons, pastries, bread, Nutella. Of course, there were cartoons at this time as well. As it was getting late, she finally pushed off her button to resume her fantasies in her room, wielding her dolls with skills perfectly tracing the course of her dream. But at the high point of the day was probably when Tristan finally returned from work. Oh, it was a high point, you say? She would rush into the living room to greet him, and all joyous, she would throw herself at him timidly at first, and then more enthusiasm over the weeks. Weeks, man, and he can't find. Get the police involved. She loved being carried on his shoulders to mimic an airplane and fly the flat until they crashed on the bed laughing, playing together. It was so much fun. With her friends, she could give her life to characters more easy. Her favorites, playing Mummy and Daddy. Amber played the role of mother, which always occupied by the well-being of her child, a PVC doll with dead eyes supposed to embody an adorable little baby. That's weird. She had to wash him, change him, cuddle him, and give him the bottle. Tristan had a role of the father. He had to read the newspapers in the kitchen while waiting for his wife to cook him a good meal. A role which hardly got him involved, but he was more than satisfied with that. Well, yeah, because he's getting free food from her. I mean, that's why. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? Amber took her task very seriously. She had the lead role after all. Therefore, she served her imaginary husband plastic fries and fruits with a bossy pout and appreciated the gesture. Dang, she can't even cook. However, the real meal was left to Tristan once the game ended, a meal which the little girl took as an opportunity to deliver the rest of her fabulous adventures. Tristan only had to listen to her with a smile on his face before requiring her to go to her bathroom to wash up and brush her teeth. Amber always grumbled at bath time, but her sexless Barbie mermaid quickly helped her forget the inconvenience. A sexless Barbie mermaid. Alright. More than once, she silently waited for the 30-year-old man to come close enough for her to shoot at him fish-shaped water gun. This is, weird, you know. We still don't know who this girl is. Like, I don't know if this is okay. Instant laughter would end. Sure. Then the little girl had to be tucked into the big princess bed while he was telling her a story, usually a fairy tale. In those moments, she blinked and more slowly, looking up at him, touching expression. Tristan would almost melt from cuteness. He was careful not to get too close in the door all the way. The corridor light had to hunt the monsters which would disturb Amber's sleep. It was a specific request from her. She was fearful. long story short, she was afraid of the dark, is what it was. The man had to protect her from ghosts at the slightest shout that was his promise to her. Before going to sleep, Tristan found comfort in contemplating her asleep. He had hoped that her sleep would be inhabited with nice dreams that would forget him, that she would think about him in whatever way that may be. So he wants her to think about him. That's interesting. Could she even feel his presence or how much he cared for her? Well, I mean, obviously, you're housing the girl, man. The way they organized their weekend allowed for a more festive time. It was time for outings. I want to say that now. Outings? That sounds pretty cool. We're doing outings. You know? I don't know. What do you think? Outings? I don't know. It's a cool term. It was a question of Amber to get bored to stay shut tight and bleak flat again. She had to have changed of scenery. So they went to a lively place, the pool, the amusement park, the ice rink, the movie theater, restaurants. She had to try everything every week. It was a different universe. Running along a brisk pace, impeccably polished shoes, the little girl jumped from ride to ride, hanging on Tristan's arms, his warm heart to see her having innocent fun. Well, he's not having innocent fun, I bet. On a smile that big, he could only imitate the girl's good mood despite himself. He's sad. You're a sad boy, Tristan. Every time she would inevitably ask for a dessert, a pancake, or an ice cream, he would watch her spread whipped cream all over the face of the corner of his eye. The temptation to lick a dab of ice cream with the tip of her nose and the corner of her lips was nearly too much. Such display, both childish and healthy, tickled his darkest thoughts, his most pitiful thoughts. This is getting weird, man. However hard he rejected them with all his strength, his hand became sweaty and trembling. With his hand confessed his torment, but Amber couldn't understand. Amber was a little girl, only a little girl. A few months went by, and breakneck speed. Tristan refused to admit it, but his young friends were growing up. He wanted to ignore the fact, turned a blind eye, and in simple passage, he had already started to do its work. Amber was going through a strange crisis. That evening, she was particularly angry and proclaimed vigorously, "I don't want to be a child anymore." How so? "I want to become older." "But you have plenty of time for this, Amber." "I want to become older faster. That way I could do more things." Man, the 30-year-old man sighed. He obviously didn't know how to answer such assertions. He had never had a child. He was not very good at calming down revolts regardless. He had more children, man? Oh boy. Taken back, he left the girl to sulk in the living room to go take a long, relaxing shower. While he was soothing his worries in the rush of the hot shower, she displayed an angry pout. "That's not fair. I wish I could be older right now. If only I had a model. I wonder what Tristan's wife looked like, for example. I'm sure that she was a kind person." Tristan is a kind person. He's taking care of you. He never wants to talk about it. He avoids the subject. It could be that he's hiding something from me. I mean, maybe. Intrigued, Amber took advantage of his absence to open a drawer she had never touched before. Inside, under the telephone directory, was a big leather notebook. Convinced she had found treasure, she grabbed it and opened it. It was a photo album spread with pages, bright smiles, and tender gestures. Oh, it's sweet. That's them. Browsing through the pictures, the little girl discovered a guardian, young, dashing in arms. Gosh, dressed soberly and tasteful, she's strolling along the seashore with her shoulders and part holding an ice cream. That caught her eye. It was a specific picture that was towards the center of the album. Tristan, wearing a suit, was leading his lover out to a church with a clumsy footstep under her shower petals. She looked so happy, so fulfilled in her large, refined white dress that Amber was stupefied. All the more so as the bride looked exactly like her. She's so pretty. What are you looking at? Tristan's sudden appearance made her jump so much that she dropped the forbidden object. His glaze darkened immediately. "You searched through the closet to see what my wife looked like, didn't you?" She answered in a shaky voice, guilty. "Yes. Are you going to scold me?" "Of course not. I wouldn't prefer that you didn't see it." "Why? Why don't you ever talk about it? I want to know." He sighed, appearing to be upset that he looked into those begging eyes that he would never be able to resist for long. Reluctantly, he sat down on the couch and told her that he met once he thought he would be the love of his life, related all the way that they had gone through better. Sorry, I'm nuking this. Amber listened with wide-eyed attention. She liked the story very much. Tristan seemed to briefly get younger and evoked the past, describing how he was head over heels and had been for her, how happy she made him. Yep. Their peaceful and ordinary day was something that little girl envied. Caught in a tale, she asked him, and then what happened until the light shining in the man's green eyes brutally vanished? Then she left. Where to? Far away to a place I can't reach her anymore. Every day I pray that somehow she'll hear me, she'll wake up, that she'll remember me. I don't know if she'll ever emerge from that dream that's keeping her captive. Is she dead? Sometimes it feels like it, but no, she's still alive, just in a different world from mine. If I could have joined her, I would have known, I would have sacrificed everything for her, and today she's forgotten me forever. Okay guys, well, I'm sorry this is a little technical issue, but my camera's about to die, so I had to stop it right here. But I'll see you guys soon, and we'll keep playing this. We're gonna find out what happened to his wife, because now we're getting to the juicy part. See you guys next time. Seriously.